race, and you see those conditions remain challenging. The tide has come up, the waves may be a bit smaller, but the tide still a factor with very strong currents.
Well, the women's race played out to the best runners of the day, and if you take a look here, some fantastic runners on the men's side.
And here we see the start of the men's race. Just over 50 athletes into this race, but as you mentioned, Barry, many of the top competitors in the world all racing here today.
Well, you can see the men being much more athletic and trying to go out much further as they get out into those waves. Many of these athletes have worked hard on dealing with the big open water surf, and they're getting down. You can see down, digging into the sand, and as those big waves start to crest, they're really going to have to make sure that they get out, and there's the very first of the waves coming through.
Well, many of these men, the ones at the beginning, just like we saw with the women, you see some of the athletes being forced back. The stronger swimmers really able to work their way through those waves. Definitely knowing how to dive under them certainly helps. The tide, as we mentioned, a little bit higher right now, so they're facing perhaps some stronger currents, although the waves themselves are just a little bit smaller.
What a picturesque scene right there, taking a look out into the bay, as the athletes will not realize all of the beauty around them. They're struggling just to stay on course, and right there they're coming through now about 375 meters into the first 750-meter lap.
Well, some of the other men really mixing it up out there so far. Several top European athletes, a couple of the German guys, Franz Hofer from Austria into there, Brent McMahon from Canada. He's also racing quite well. The athletes seem to be staying a little closer together than we saw with the women, but really the field spread out. It is larger to begin with, but really not the same kind of breaks we saw in the women's. At the completion of lap 1, Paulo Miyashiro from Brazil was proving his strength as he took a decisive lead over the nearest chaser. Behind him, Csaba Couture from Hungary was one of the athletes in the hunt, but still many meters down on the surging Brazilian. Further back, the bulk of the chase pack came out of the water together, leaving a lot of ground to make up on the leader as they struggled through the waves and current onto lap 2. It was a challenging swim for all competitors, and one that saw the field spread out over the closing 750 meters.
An absolutely dominating swim by Paulo Miyashiro, Brazil. He looks behind, and there is nobody within about 20 seconds. He's had a dominating swim.
Well, just coming out of the water, you see how far back they are and very close to those rocks, getting precariously close. That is one of the factors the current will have on them. The men still trying to body surf in. Miyashiro is already into the transition area, and now we see those other athletes getting out of the water. Dirk Bockel into that group from Germany as well. Csaba Couture just coming out of the water from Hungary.
You can see some of the athletes choosing to go. That's a great swim by Hunter Kemper just coming out of the water. He's really worked on his swim over the last couple of years, and right now is in a great position. Heading out by himself, there's no reason to stay by himself out on that bike, so I think he'll take it quite easy. You can see down the bottom corner of the screen now a large group of about 50 athletes coming out within about 10 to 15 seconds of each other.
Well, two German men into this front group. Jan Frodeno, he is the other German athlete coming out, and you can see, as you mentioned, Barry, Hunter Kemper, the tall athlete in the double black suit there, just coming into transition. A great swim for Kemper, so he is really on form early in the season.
Well, he said once he got the monkey off his back by making the Olympic team, it was all gravy from there. Now he can just focus on Athens, and he's in a fantastic position going out in about 5th position.
Brad Kaufelt from Australia just putting the helmet on there, number 3, and a great swim for Dimitri Gag, number 1 into this race. Simon Whitfield also getting onto his bike there, so a lot of those athletes with some great finishes out of the swim. Bryce Quirk, Leandro Macedo just putting on the helmet, also a very good swim. He is not strong in the water, so to be out of the water that well in this tough condition, he's done very well today.
Well, Macedo's certainly known as the old man of triathlon. He's been around forever, and he's a great runner. Remember, his teammate Carla Morano had her brilliant run to win the women's side, so look for him later on. I think he's in a great position today, something he hasn't had for a while.
Paulo Miyashiro, the leader, making that decision already. He's going to hold back and let those other athletes catch him, but you see there a 25-second lead, and that is significant. Were he perhaps a Craig Walton or one of the other strong cyclists in the sport, he'd maybe make a break, but he's made the decision to wait and let some of those other athletes catch him. Looking down the field, Brent McMahon had a great swim today. Vasilis Kromidas, another great swim for that athlete, and he is a very talented cyclist, so we'll be watching for him on the 40K bike.
Experience life on the flip side. OLN's Turn It Out Tuesdays. First, count down life lived to the extreme. Outside Magazine's Ultimate Top 10. Then, meet the men and women who've gone head-to-head with adversity. Fearless. And they defy the odds and risk it all for the ultimate rush on Awe.
You just got to be able to land and not kill yourself.
OLN's Turn It Out Tuesdays begins Tuesday at 8, only on OLN.
Tempted by the fruit of another. Tempted, but the truth is discovered. What's been going
Introducing new Dentine Tango. Intense berry flavor, so juicy and so tempting. You've never done a tango like this before. New Dentine Tango. Go bold.
The real-world testing we do here at Honda's Safety Research Center enables us to design products that provide exceptional protection for drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Because what we learn in here makes a difference out there.
Whether you're dreaming about living in a log home or making that dream a reality, you'll find what you need in Log Home Living magazine. Every issue is filled with fresh ideas to help you plan, build, decorate, and enjoy your log home. Lush photos, top-rated floor plans, detailed construction advice, inspired decorating and landscaping tips, and more. With your paid subscription of $19.95, you'll get 12 issues of America's best-selling log home magazine, including our giant annual buyer's guide with everything you need to know to build a log home. The Home Products Annual, packed with resources to help you outfit your dream home, and a dazzling 13-month wall calendar. As a bonus, you'll also get Log Home Living's Top 20 with 20 log homes for under $150,000 and 20 essentials of great design. This tremendous offer, a $65 value, is all yours for just $19.95. Get the good life with Log Home Living. Call now.
Well, we really have a large group of athletes right now trying to get together. About 3 different languages. Some of these athletes will be the first time they've seen each other in the World Cup circuit this year. So they're trying to figure out who's got the cycling legs, who's prepared to really push it. And taking a look right there, Canada's Paul Tischler just coming through. So we've got a group of about 50 athletes into this chase pack.
Well, here we see a small group of men trying to make a bit of a break on the lead. Paulo Miyashiro still into there, and Csaba Couture from Hungary in the red suit coming through. I believe one of the Portuguese athletes in the lead there. These men trying to make a bit of a break, but you see it's not amounting to much as that chase pack is right on their heels.
Well, it's not the kind of course that it's easy to make a breakaway and stay away on the bike. You take a look at the Athens course, that's going to be a course that the athletes really, if they get away, might have ability to get 2 or 3 minutes on each other. Today's course likely, I think, to come down to the final run.
Well, certainly it's a course similar to what we've seen in Cancun, flat and fast over the bike and the run. 8 laps on the bike for 40 kilometers. Here that lead group still managing to break away a little bit, and the bulk of the chase, Simon Whitfield just going through there. But really, all of the top runners currently sitting into this chase pack, perhaps resting their legs. Hunter Kemper in particular sitting on the back end of the pack.
Well, again, I think the athletes have taken a look at this kind of course in the past. Classically, nobody gets much of a break. If they do, it's only 15 or 20 seconds. They may have had to work very hard to earn that 15 or 20 seconds out onto the run course. And when you can run the way that people like Dimitri Gag, Simon Whitfield, and others do, that's not the kind of effort you want to put out on the bike course. You know it's going to come down to a very, very fast, hot run.
Well, here we look ahead to the lead group. Axel Zeebroek from Belgium in there. He is a very talented cyclist. We look back to the 2002 Duathlon Worlds, where he and Benny Van Steelen, the talented duathlete from Belgium, made that huge breakaway. So he's definitely one to challenge the bike. And here we look through at the chase. It's a much larger group, so they're going to be a little more awkward on the course. There are some tight turns, and this group won't go as quickly through those turns as that lead pack out front.
Well, those leaders right now going about 45 to 50 kilometers an hour, so they're going very, very quickly on a flat section of ground. And again, this young, talented athlete from Belgium really forcing the pace. He does most of his training on flat courses, so this will be absolutely perfect conditions for him.
And it looks as though that chase pack is starting to make the decision and make a move to catch those leaders. They realize there are some strong cyclists out there, and here it all comes together. The lead pack slowing down a little bit and now allowing that chase group to come on through. After very little little action through the opening few laps, a decisive breakaway move was finally made by Vasilis Kromidas from Greece and Mexico's own Arturo Garza. Behind them, a huge chase pack moved slowly around the course with no one prepared to go after the two leaders. So it was no surprise as Kromidas and Garza continued to build on their lead heading into the second transition.
While not teammates by nation, they certainly are on the bike, and right now there's a lot of money on the line. These two athletes realizing it's to their benefit to work together, and you can see they have a significant lead on the third place athlete.
Well, certainly you see Kromidas there, one of the athletes who's the most talented on the bike, taking a bit of water in the black suit. Arturo Garza in front of the hometown crowd, really soaking in the atmosphere. These two men working very well together and making up huge ground on this massive chase pack. It really seems, while there's a few athletes trying to push the pace a little bit in this pack, none of them really prepared to take the risks required to catch those leaders.
Christine, one of the questions, and Simon Whitfield alluded to this earlier on in the show, maybe some of these athletes have to have the courage to make a breakaway, because I have to think at the Olympic Games when everything's on the line on a hilly course, athletes aren't going to sit back. We saw Olivier Marceau make his breakaway at the World Championships. That's the kind of thing you're likely going to have, and if athletes have been used to sitting in a pack, they may not have the skills and the fitness to do what they have to do when Athens comes around.
Well, certainly Kromidas is a man who is putting it all on the line this year. He's one of the older competitors in the field, racing in his home country, Greece, at the Athens Olympics. He will be there, and he knows it's a tough course, and if he can make a bit of a breakaway or a significant breakaway over the bike, he has a chance on the run. The run is the thing he's always struggled with, but in a course like Athens where the bike is so difficult, definitely that's what's going to win the race.
Well, the crowd is pumped because Garza is the first to head out, and he's going to have to go fast because he's got some brilliant athletes coming behind. Hunter Kemper, Dimitri Gag, Simon Whitfield, the best runners in the sport, coming about a minute and 15 seconds back, so they are significantly back. But right now, Garza is just soaking up the energy. He's got a significant lead. He better take advantage of it because the runners, the studs on the land, are back here in about another 30 seconds.
Well, there we see our two leaders. Kromidas really starting to struggle. This is where we'll see the athlete. He's a tall man. He's built as a swimmer and a cyclist, and you do notice that on the run, but he's definitely laying it all out here. Garza, smaller in stature and, of course, used to the Mexican heat, likely at the advantage. There we see Hunter Kemper just heading through. Simon Whitfield in the blue helmet. This is our large chase pack. They are now coming into the transition area, and it's a lot more awkward heading in, of course, when you've got that many other athletes alongside you.
Well, look at the absolute huge pack of athletes coming in. Remember, the Germans were using this as one of their selection for the Olympic team. Brent McMahon from Canada has to get a top 12 today for him to secure one of his Olympic spots. But the helmet off, Hunter Kemper getting ready to head. Right there with the yellow helmet, that's Dimitri Gag, one of the finest runners in the sport. Brad Caulfield heading out. Whitfield struggling to get his hat on, and now they go, and it is going to be a blisteringly fast run.
The two Brazilian men heading out there, and particularly Leandro Macedo, who we mentioned earlier, a very strong runner, especially in the heat. And there goes Cervantes from Mexico, one of the top Mexican athletes, all hunting down this man. He's starting to look a little bit tighter, but definitely pushing it as hard as he can out there for the hometown crowd.
We can take a look. They had a 1 hour 17:35 getting off the bike. That's a very quick cycle. And then almost a minute and 15 seconds down before the chase pack came. The runners are into that chase pack. Whitfield, Dimitri Gag, they're the best in the pack. Brent McMahon from Canada right now sitting in a position. If he comes top 12, he'll nail down his Olympic spot. He's been injured, and he's going to have to really force the pace on the run.
The organizers here in Mazatlan have done an amazing job with this race. The men are now out on the run course and facing hot Mexican heat for 10 kilometers.
When I get on a motorcycle, I'll do just about anything, but even I won't get on a 1,700-pound bull.
Go! Gets him down and then runs him over.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Catch the PBR World Finals October 22nd, only on OLN.
They told him to hang it up.
I wasn't sure that I was ever going to ride again.
The man they call Miracle refused to stay out of the sky. BMX freestyle champion Dave Mira is fearless. An all-new episode, Tuesday at 9, only on OLN.
How can you tell you're drinking a True Blue Foster's? The head's the same shape as the Sydney Harbour Bridge, of course. Well, that and the light, crisp, refreshing taste. Foster's, Australian for beer.
Welcome to the future of swimming. The Infinite Pool, a bold step in a new direction. Introducing the world's only pool powered by a massive 18-inch stainless steel propeller, creating a powerful current that allows you to swim in place. Our space-saving design means your pool can be installed where other pools can't, indoors or out. It's even heated for year-round use. Call now and get your Infinite Pool for only $149 per month. But wait, act now and we'll include our Hydro Spa upgrade absolutely free. Call now or log on for your free video.
TraxLock, selectable 2 or 4-wheel drive. GP Escape navigation system. Automatic or ESP push-button shifting. You need advanced ATV technology from Honda, because in the real world, trails don't clear themselves. Get the best on earth. Now with financing as low as 6.9% fixed APR.
When we forged the frame rails of the new Ford Super Duty with thicker gauge steel than any other pickup, we gave it more payload than any other pickup. 5,800 pounds. Who's your daddy now? This is the next Ford Super Duty. Built Ford tough.
Heading out onto the run in the lead in Mazatlan, Mexico, hometown boy Arturo Garza, 1:15 down with the bulk of the runners in the field. Dimitri Gag, one of the top men to watch for.
Well, that 75-second lead really is not going to be enough. As you can see now, back through about 15 seconds down, here come the bulk of the big runners. On the right-hand side with the white hat, Olympic champion Simon Whitfield. Next to him with the silver outfit, Leandro Macedo, a great heat runner. Next to him, the taller Hunter Kemper, really starting to force the pace. And those three athletes, some of the finest runners in the sport.
Well, Sebastian Dermer from Germany also having a great run. Remember, the German athletes using this as an Olympic qualifier, but the man having the best go of it so far, Arturo Garza from Mexico, he has the support of this hometown crowd here. He is now heading out onto lap 3, and tucked in behind him, Vasilis Kormidas from Greece, still hanging on, but you can see into that long shot coming into transition area is the bulk of the chase group.
Well, it's to the benefit of these athletes really just to go for it. They might as well take advantage of as much TV time and home crowd as they can. And look at the turnover now. We've got about 9 athletes still forcing the pace. You can see right there, Leandro Macedo, the very effective Brazilian athlete in the gray, looking over. He's won World Cup races all over the world 13 and 14 years ago, so he has tremendous experience.
Well, just tucked in on the back end of that pack, Sapunov from Kazakhstan, that athlete following in the footsteps of Dimitri Gag, one of the best runners in the sport, who's also into that lead group. And here we see Arturo Garza just looking over his shoulder. He can hear those pounding footsteps coming up behind him. As we said, the best runners in the field now into this pack. Macedo in the gray, Hunter Kemper in the two-tone black suit, and Simon Whitfield with the white visor. He is beating down a path to the lead.
Well, these athletes are absolute poetry in motion when they're in the best of the shape. Right now, they really aren't even tapering. The World Championships, not for a few weeks. Some of the athletes aren't even going to go to the World Championships, so you can imagine, take this fast forward just a couple of months till we get to Athens, add the heat about another 10 degrees, pump up the pressure by a factor of 50, and that's what the Athens Olympics are going to be all about.
Well, the man now pushing the pace is Sebastian Dermer from Germany. Those German athletes, remember, going after Olympic qualification here. He needs this top spot, and he is chasing down Arturo Garza, really running out here and looking for the lead, and there he's got it. Arturo Garza, you can see it in his legs, starting to fall back, realizes his day is done.
Well, this young man was a world champion in Edmonton, Canada in 2001, so he was a fantastic talent, came through the German ranks. They have a very well-established program, went on to the World 23 and Under Championships where he was 4th, so he is making those little baby steps up to the international field, and there, right there, is a world champion, Dimitri Gag from 1999, and just behind him, Olympic champion Simon Whitfield.
Well, these two men have had some massive battles in the past. They are both strong runners, now going after the young German out front, who looks very strong, but he looks over his shoulder at the same time, realizing Dimitri Gag is not a man he can contend with at this point in his career. Gag is so strong in the run, as is Whitfield, and both of those men are able to gut it out, especially in hot conditions.
Christine, Dimitri Gag seems to have had a second resurgence in his career. After the World Championship, seemed to have had a couple of injuries, maybe lost motivation, but leading towards Athens, he really looks like he's in a fantastic position. And there on the right side of the screen, one of the finest runners to ever enter in a triathlon, certainly at the Olympic distance, Simon Whitfield. Look how relaxed he looks. Looking around, making sure he's taking stock, seeing where the other competitors are. Hunter Kemper just behind him, and Dimitri Gag now the guy starting to force the pace.
Radical. Insane. And what would you call this? The original extreme sport. The PBR. Tonight at 8 on OLN. Brought to you by Ford. It's loud. It's fast. It's super. The best in the world. Duel it out on dirt and asphalt to see who's the best super biker. The AMA Supermoto Championship Series. Every Wednesday at 8. Only on OLN.
How can you tell you're drinking a True Blue Foster's? The beer pours downwards towards Australia, of course. Well, that and the light, crisp, refreshing taste. Foster's, Australian for beer.
People know the Touareg is rugged, but what they might not know is that it's also luxurious. Luxurious. Rugged. Luxurious. Rugged. Rugged. Luxurious. Luxuriously rugged. The Touareg. Ruggedly, luxuriously, rugged. Now the SUV that does it all for less than you'd think. Get the critically acclaimed 2004 Volkswagen Touareg for just 0.9% APR. But hurry, it's only for a limited time.
For those who never quit. The battery that never quits. Energizer. Keep going.
Get away to Mississippi's Gulf Coast. Call for your free Fun Times guide. It's got everything you need to know to plan the perfect getaway. Mississippi's Gulf Coast. What a way to get away.
The man who looks the most relaxed to me in that field right there, and that's Simon Whitfield. We've seen him do it so many times. He just takes stock of the other competitors. You can see the German really starting to work hard now. I think they're going to probably start to drop him.
Brad Kaufelt and Leandro Macedo just going through, and Gerasi Moreira having a great race. He's also a wonderful heat runner. And there, as expected, Dimitri Gag moving into the lead. He looks so strong when he's running. The grimace can be on his face, but Dimitri Gag will always push hard. He's one of the oldest competitors in the field, so we'll see if experience plays into his hands today. By the closing stages of the run, it was a group of 4 at the head of the field, including Olympic champion Simon Whitfield, 1999 world champion Dimitri Gag, newcomer Sebastian Damer from Germany, and Hunter Kemper, who after his second in Honolulu was hungry for a win against Whitfield on the run.
I want to get him back for sure. You know, I mean, it's frustrating. He's done that a lot to me, more times than not. I think I've definitely been on the short end of the stick when it comes to Simon and I, and it'd be nice for paybacks this weekend. If it comes down to a run, I'm usually pretty happy.
Well, there aren't too many people that Hunter Kemper loses a run battle to, but Simon Whitfield right there with the cap on backwards, looking very relaxed. I've watched him hundreds of races, and when he looks like that, he is almost invincible, and it's really early in the season for him to be looking this great.
Well, looking just back down the field a little bit, Brad Caulfield from Australia racing very well in the green shoes. Leandro Macedo also coming up. Hunter Kemper looking quite relaxed, but you can't say he looks quite as relaxed as Simon Whitfield, who seems to have a grin on his face at this point, just relaxed into the run. There we see Sebastian Damer from Germany still hanging on, and Whitfield kicks it into gear. That is a devastating Simon Whitfield trademark move, and the other competitors really are unable to respond.
Christine, I think he's got to be the finest short distance runner in the world. Dimitri Gag really working hard going after him, but look how much different the styles are. Whitfield looking relaxed. Dimitri Gag giving out every ounce of energy as he's really forcing the pace. The two of them now less than 300 meters from the finishing line, and Whitfield continuing to evaluate. Hunter Kemper now has dropped off the back, and right now we're down to a two-man battle. The 33-year-old from Kazakhstan, the Olympic champion from Canada, and the two of them now going after an early season victory. Remember, this is about psychology because they're going to be doing this at the Olympic Games, and Dimitri Gag is coming back on Whitfield.
He is turning up the pace indeed, turning up the turnover on those legs. Dimitri Gag never one to give up, but Simon Whitfield, again, you see the grin on his face. He looks so relaxed and very, very comfortable, and that's what's key coming into this final closing kick. There are a few men who can battle Simon Whitfield to the line in a closing kick.
Now go back to the Olympic Games in Sydney just 4 years ago. Whitfield doing that patented kick over the last few hundred meters to win the Sydney Olympic Games, and here he is once again showing that that's the same arm that he had up, realizing that he really is in control when he's on top of his game. And Simon Whitfield taking his second victory in his number of weeks as he crosses the finish line, 1:50.31. Just behind him, Dimitri Gag, and Hunter Kemper one more time looking at the backside of the Canadian Simon Whitfield.
Well, it certainly has to be frustration for Kemper, but elation there for the German athlete Sebastian Damer. A fourth-place finish. That's his best ever World Cup victory. He is definitely on form, and he and Anja Dittmer have now qualified for that German Olympic team. As the rest of the competitors start to come across the line, there we see Leandro Macedo. That's one of his best finishes in years.
Simon Whitfield having an unbelievable final run, just over 31 minutes. Phenomenal time for that young man from Victoria, British Columbia.
That sprint finish was fun. That really, you have to draw on everything there. That was hard. You go farther out than anyone else is willing to go, and then you just want it more than they do. We really are just in the base phase of training, so to get a World Cup win the weekend after Honolulu was lots of fun.
I kind of gutted it out the whole time, you know. I mean, I didn't feel all the way on. Something's missing about my run right now. I'm not quite there. I mean, it'd be scary if Simon's probably not quite there either. But I mean, he has a lot of energy. I mean, he was turning around his hat with about a half mile to go, kind of adjusting his hat, getting his swoosh all fixed up or whatever. And that's a little concerning for me when I'm just kind of holding on. So it's frustrating to know that, you know, I continue to get beat by Simon, you know, but it's early on in the year. I mean, between now and August, a whole lot can happen.
Well, Simon Whitfield showing that if he's not at 100% now, he might be frightening by the time he gets to Athens. 1:50.31. Dimitri Gag, the old man on the sport, showing that he has still got a lot in his legs. And Hunter Kemper on the podium once again. So we take a look down. Brazil once again having a phenomenal World Cup race here. And Germany selecting their team athletes. And what a great race for that young 22-year-old.
Well, here we look at the men's world rankings. These are the overall rankings. Greg Bennett continues to hold on, but Dimitri Gag moves up to third with his second place today. A few of the other athletes we haven't seen race for a few weeks starting to fall off the page. But in the meantime, the athletes celebrate their hard-earned victories here in Mazatlan, Mexico. Next up for us, we're off to Madeira Island in Portugal for the 2004 ITU World Championships. Be sure to tune in then.